Being in the Propaedeutic year, I am really at peace. I've never had so much time to really focus and to pray.
The purpose is just to start with the basics. First and foremost was prayer, being present at all the times together, praying together was a very, very big gift.
Having this conversation with the Lord and walking with him day by day, I can actually have the time to ask him in silence, like, Lord, is this really what you want from me?
All of this had the cumulative effect of giving you a lot more clarity in a really quick time about what it is to be a priest, what it is to build a foundation for the priesthood.
When I learned that that's what this year is really about, it's about taking the time to carve out this space to really work on your psychological healing, your spiritual healing, to develop your prayer practices, to learn more about your vocation, to learn more about the diocese that you might serve and the people. I realized that this was like a tremendous opportunity.
I find myself going back to the basics all the time. I find myself calling to mind very regularly the instruction of my novice master and my socius, so my two superiors in the novitiate, who in the course of those 2 years handed on a wealth of accumulated wisdom. And it's certainly what I seek to stress to the guys who are currently in the Propaedeutic Program, that they really ought to take seriously what Father Gary Thomas is telling them, write it down, put it to memory, because in the years that come, they will no doubt be making reference back to that teaching time and time again.
The first of anything is your most important. The first year as pastor, the first year of marriage, the first job you have, the first year in the seminary are the most important. And so I really have that awareness in terms of trying to help our guys really have a good basic grounding that will then take them into philosophy.
I can say a lot about Father Gary. He's a wonderful man, a wonderful priest. Something about his manner is very inviting, very welcoming. He has like a sort of a natural kindness, I think. He tells a lot of stories about what he's learned from his mother and from his father. And you can really see that he's kind of taken the best in him from both of his parents, and he embodies that for us.
He has so much compassion and wisdom and flexibility. I personally feel like he's almost like another father for me, like in a very real sense.
What I saw consistently was the heart of a pastor, of a man who wanted to shepherd us and wanted to walk with us and wanted to be a father. Even when we weren't our best selves, I think there was this confidence that he had in us, this fundamental belief that like these guys are here because they believe the Lord has called them to be here, and a desire to foster that.
Father Gary is a great director. He's made for the role. I see him as a spiritual father. I've learned a lot from him.
He's really wise. He's a wise guy. He's really humble. But more than anything, he's kind.
I was fortunate enough to have a number of mentors in my day from the time I was in high school, and I see this in part as it's a year to accompany men in terms of helping them build character and helping them build a community of faith amongst other young men who are aspiring to the same vocation. And it's also a way really for them to really look inside and deal with issues that maybe from their childhood, from their past, that they may never have had a structured opportunity to look at. You have a structure, and then the men that you have who come into the program, ideally, you want to have men who are really open to being formed, really open to the possibility of making some maybe potential large changes in their life. But it's also, it's a year that you really need to be patient with guys. It's really a year for them to kind of become quieter with themselves. We put all of our men on what we call a media fast. We ask them to surrender their cell phones so that we take them off all social media outlets. They receive what's called a wise phone, which is they can make a phone call, they can text, and it's got a GPS on the phone.
I was really pumped for the media fast, excited to get rid of my phone, and to just have a lot of space to pray, a lot of space to discern.
This Propaedeutic year has been the most prayerful year of my life. And it's been one of the most productive years of my life. I did so much decluttering. Digital decluttering and physical decluttering is just, I really simplified my life. I cleaned it up. I streamlined it. I kind of shed the non-essentials in a way.
It allows you to really focus on you, and your own gifts, your own capacities, and allow yourself to be molded without the distractions of the world.
One of the greatest graces of this year has honestly just been prayer. One of our very first classes here, we talked about what's the difference between orienting your life around what's sacred and what's profane. Here at Seminary, our whole life is oriented around the Mass.
People will often ask me, of all the things that we've gotten accomplished, what's the most important thing we've done in the course of the past 4 years? Getting the Propaedeutic Program up and running is far and away the most important thing we've done.
According to the program of priestly formation, the current 6th edition, in the Propaedeutic year, it focuses academically. It focuses on the Catechism of the Catholic Church, Catholic spirituality, and Scripture. So 3 days a week, they get an hour-and-a-half lecture/presentation on one of those 3 topics. Then secondly, there is a value to human labor. And so 4 afternoons or 4 mornings a week, depending on their class schedule, they work on the property with the director of maintenance. We have Mass every morning. We have morning prayer and evening prayer. We do a holy hour in the morning and the afternoon, depending on the schedule. Twice a month on Sundays, we go to different parishes.
We visit a parish and we serve. So we're either an acolyte, a lector, we help ushering.
Father Gary's usually the one doing the Mass. And so we take over all the liturgy, and also we help with hospitality. So we're out and about after Mass, greeting the people, giving them food, just being with the people.
And it builds this community. They want to see a familiar face. We want to get to know who they are. It makes us be aware of our public image as well.
Every Friday, either Dr. Cynthia Hunt, who's the psychiatrist for the house, or Father Vito Perone, who's one of the spiritual directors specifically for the Propaedeutic year, and myself, we meet with the men in these human formation sessions. Dr. Hunt does them privately. Father Vito and I do them separately from her. And they're really about dealing with human behavior and also helping them to develop an identity with the diocesan priesthood. On Wednesdays, they do an all-day field ed assignment. 5 of them go up and feed the economically poor on Wednesdays at St. Anthony's Dining Room. 3 of them go up to the Missionaries of Charity, Hospice for the Dying in Pacifica.
I think it's always been a good experience here for me. They have a lot of good people who come out here to volunteer their time, to work here in the kitchen.
We start here about 8 o'clock. We got a lot of preparation work to do. And then at 11 o'clock, we open the doors. And we've had, lately up to like 350, 380 people come in. Once they're done in the kitchen, they'll come out and they'll help us to serve the meal, to serve drinks, and help with giving the people produce and bread that they can take home with them. So there's a whole vast range of things that they're helping with. And it's really great to have them here.
So working here at St. Anthony's, it gives you a different perspective. There are things you don't want to do, things you're really hesitant in doing, but you have to give in. You have to give in and be open to different experiences, different people. And the people who do come, who receive our services, they are the people who are going to be, God willing, in the future, our parishioners. And a lot of the people that come to our Mass will be in need. And, their perspective is going to be different than my perspective. So it opens our eyes a little more.
Well, I think it's an opportunity to serve other people and also to interact with the broader public, with the poor, obviously, with the needy. And I think that's going to be really value to us as people studying to be pastors, to really engage with the community on a one-on-one basis and learn those really fundamental skills.
Honestly, I feel like I'm increasing my social skills, so it's important for me to be here.
Whenever I'm working here, I just kind of imagine like the hidden life of Jesus and Mary. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what Jesus and Mary had to do for day-to-day, 30 years of their life. And it's not some great glamorous thing out there working these miracles. It's just kind of a really simple, down-to-earth thing. Somewhere in the Gospels, Jesus mentions like he who's faithful in little things is going to be faithful in big things.
From the seminarian perspective, you never really know where you're going to be assigned, what kind of work you're going to have to do. Right? It's about trying to do the work I'm assigned as best as possible, right? And trying to build the relationships with the people that I'm working with as well as possible too.
Ministering to the Gift of Love Hospice, it's been a lot for them. It's been a change because, again, they lived on the street for most of their lives. So having to interact with other people is very hard for them. And for us, it was kind of hard as well because, again, we've never been exposed to this kind of level of suffering. knowing that I'm doing some form of change to this people, even if it's in the most individual level, has really been fulfilling.
A patient needs help suddenly. Maybe he fell down. Maybe he needs to go to the bathroom or whatever, and no one's around, and you might be the only person who can help him. It just kind of, I feel like, really toughens you up. But most importantly, I just get this intuition that it builds you up somehow mysteriously on the inside in a way that you can't really measure, but God can.
Take all of those things and offer it back up to God as a gift. It helps instill this idea of making one's self, making one's own being, his own body, his own soul, his own mind, all of that is being offered as a gift to him.
One of the things I first loved about coming to St. Patrick's is noticing that all the seminarians call each other brother. And there's something beautiful about that, because brotherhood is beautiful, but it's also frustrating. Because biologically, we don't choose our brothers, right? They're chosen for us. And as people of faith, we have to believe that there's something providential about that. And so even the frustrating aspects of brotherhood that sometimes make, I think, being a seminary hard, like the differences, like moments where maybe one of us isn't in our best mood, or I'm not in my best mood, or, or my ego gets in the way, all these different moments, right? And you realize, okay, how do I love all of this anyway? Right? How do I put myself aside? How do I open up more? How do I let go? We ask that perennial question, what would the Lord do in these circumstances?
Being with the brothers, it's especially in the Propaedeutic Program, it's some level of friendship that I've never had, and it's a deeper sense of friendship. It's a much more intimate friendship, especially seeing them grow spiritually.
I read in a book called To Save 1,000 Souls that a seminary without laughter is not a good seminary. And we have a lot of laughter in the Propaedeutic Program. Like, we laugh a lot. We have a very good time.
While we're butting heads with each other and getting along, alternatively, we grow. And we find out who we are as well, relative to other peers. And so that's part of the growth process and part of the formation process.
So it's really about building a community of faith amongst young men. And in that regard, the more that they're together and the more activities that we do together, particularly prayer and recreation and meals, are ways for these men to be able to open up to each other. The uniqueness of the seminary of St. Patrick's specifically is that it's been around for 125 years, and we have a rector who has a real vision. He has a real eye for recruiting faculty who are of, I think, the highest caliber. Our faculty currently, between our philosophy department, our theology department, is a very nice blend of diocesan priests, priests in religious orders, and men and women, laymen and laywomen, who come with a variety of academic disciplines in which many of them have published. And I think they're very, very, very much experts in their own right.
In the Propaedeutic Year module that I teach, we cover the role of beauty in the intellectual life and the spiritual life. We're going to introduce them to beautiful things: art, architecture, music, theater, all these sorts of things that are worth spending time with, especially in their leisure time, in their off time, because those are the things which fill the human heart with the most honorable things and that help us lead a life that really is worthy of God.
The guys who have had opportunity, the privilege of going through this, the inaugural years of the Propaedeutic Program, have benefited tremendously and are better prepared for the next stages of formation, philosophy and theology, and eventually, God willing, in time, priestly ministry.
My ultimate goal is to, God willing, become ordained as a priest and, fully give myself to the church, help the people that are in need, especially, spiritually.
I want to be a priest of the people. I want people to really feel God's love. I want to be proof of God's love to them.
So what I look forward to most about becoming a priest is becoming a conduit of grace for people. As the person who dispenses the sacraments, as the person who preaches the word, and who takes care of the parishioners, it's essentially spiritual fatherhood, and that means a lot to me.
Looking back at the Propaedeutic Year, it's a lot easier to see the fruits than it was up close. Now in pre-theology, it's like, okay, well, I know what I need to work on, I mean, it's right in the name, right? It's the preparatory year. It's what kind of allows the Lord to lay out these things in front of you of like, okay, well, you've got 6 years to start to address these things and to heal and grow closer to me.
It was just a very graced time, like obviously being guided by Father Gary was already a gift, but the gift of the brothers also that are part of this journey with me has been nothing short of wonderful. I could not have asked for a better start for my seminary formation.
Once I actually came to visit this place and I realized that the Propaedeutic year is a year, I think, unlike anything that you could easily find in the world, because it's a year where you can step away from all of the concerns that you had of your life before, right? And you're surrounded by priests, right? Therapists, professors, and like-minded seminarians, all who want the best for you.